Hi, my name is Abby. Like many of you, I love me a good concert. So much that I started planning them myself. Believe it or not, there is a lot of work that goes into bringing a show to life, and a lot of different groups have to communicate with each other to make it happen. In this video, I'm going to break down a genre that helps communication between these folks in particular. This is a stage plot. And this is a stage plot. It may look scary at first, but a stage plot is essentially just a map of a stage. Are you starting to get me now? A stage plot tells everyone involved in producing a concert where a band's instruments and equipment should be placed on stage. It usually goes hand in hand with an input list, which tells the audio engineer exactly which mics and direct inputs to feed into the sound system. Both of these documents can be grouped together into a larger, more comprehensive document called a tech rider, which basically outlines all of a band's technical needs for the venue. But for today, I'm just going to focus on the stage plot itself. So let me give you a little context first. Who makes stage plots? Those guys. If you're a band or a musician, that's you. You could also have a manager or a friend or whoever make it for you, but the stage plot is information about your band's setup. You'll be asked to send your stage plot well in advance of whatever show you're playing, and depending on the scale, this could range from days to weeks to even months before. I suggest preparing a general stage plot for your band that you can use whenever, and then making tweaks to it for individual shows if you need. Now, who reads stage plots? Stage plots will tell the venue's production manager what to expect about what equipment the venue needs to bring out, like mic stands, cables, or drum risers. They can also use the placement of your equipment to determine other information, like how long the cable should be, for example. It'll also give the audio engineer a preview of the different instruments that'll be involved in the mix, and it'll let stage crew know where to place everything day of. It can help them plan for any set changes between bands. The stage plot can also tell the set designer, if there is one, what spatial constraints they should work around. Since there are so many parties involved and so much information to be communicated, providing a stage plot and input list will make the load-in, setup, and soundcheck experience quick and efficient. It can mean the difference between an easy changeover or just an absolute sufferfest. Alright. Let's break down the common conventions, patterns, and pieces of a stage plot. Here to help us out is DB, the production manager at a concert venue in Menlo Park called the Guild Theater. He's worked with acts ranging from Duran Duran to indie college bands, so he has a lot of expertise to give. Okay, first rule of thumb, do not send a photo of the stage as your stage plot. Stage plots need to be very clear. They need specific, concise information trimmed down to the necessities. This is why stage plots are usually digitally rendered diagrams, which, as you can see on the right, are a lot clearer than the noisy photograph on the left. And as DB says, the clearer and more digestible your diagram is, as opposed to a photo, the show is more likely to stay on schedule, and there's less of a chance of having to pay fees for going overtime. Another thing to note. Sometimes venues and concert promoters will receive a stage plot that was drawn on a napkin.
The days of hand-drawn plots are pretty gone, especially in the pro world. When you hand somebody a hand-drawn plot, it says that you're not at the same pro level as somebody who's handing you a plot that is computer generated. I mean, you could do one in Word, like if you're just, putting boxes and stuff. So it just depends on how intricate you want to do it.
If you're trying to scale up your band in the music industry, think about your first impression on the promoter or venue.
Your expectation of what you're getting is different by the visual representation that's being made.
Professionalism still matters, even in the rock and roll biz. Let's take a look again at Sepultura's stage plot. A good stage plot should include instruments, mic placements, monitors which send the sound back to the performers. This could be a wedge-shaped speaker on the ground, or it could also be in-ear monitors, abbreviated as IEMs. You also need to include amps, direct inputs. You might use a DI box to send bass or keys directly to the PAs. You should also include power drops and the placement of any drum risers, stools, or larger items that you might want on stage. You don't need to include cabling. Remember how we talked about clarity and concision? Although it provides more information for the production team, it clogs up the stage plot and it makes things really confusing. Additionally, unless your cabling arrangement is particularly unique, the venue doesn't need someone telling them how to do their job.
Basically, all of the positions and cabling that we should need we should be able to figure that out by what's on the plot. I don't need it drawn on the plot.
To represent your equipment, you have the option to use icons, which actually look like the object, or symbols, which simply represent it. Like that giant red rectangle at the bottom, for example, which looks nothing like Reggie on the drums, is a symbol. And make sure to label your main elements. Label your main instruments directly, and you can use a key for smaller things like mic stands or DI boxes. Some sources will tell you to follow certain conventions, specifically for your symbols and your icons. I'm here to tell you that while you can follow things like these, as long as you have clear labels and an organized diagram, you can have some liberty with how you represent your equipment.
Everybody's got their cute way of trying to signify stuff, but you pretty much get it. There is convention, but there is uniqueness within that convention. Like every plot doesn't look exactly the same, but it kind of looks the same.
One small but very helpful detail to include on your stage plot are directional markers that show the orientation of the stage. This could be as simple as placing the word audience or downstage at the bottom of the page just to show your viewer which way they're facing. If you forget, it's not a huge deal because most professionals can infer the orientation based on general stage conventions like the drum kit's usually upstage or that monitors are usually downstage, but still, it's best to assume all levels of experience within your readers.
The more basic information you can give, the better the ability the people have to translate it, especially if their knowledge is not great, right? Like if they're new or they're green or they're not really sure, right? If it's laid out to them, audience, like you don't have to label all four sides, you just put the audience side, right? And if people can't figure out where the rest of the stuff goes on stage from what the other three walls are, then they don't belong on the stage.
Alright, so you've learned a lot about stage plots now. It's time to test your knowledge. Let's see if you can find everything I ask you to. Be ready to pause. On the stage plot to the right, can you find the drum kit? What about the lead vocal mic? The bass DI box? Now, where's the drummer's monitor? To their left or to their right? The stage direction markers will tell you which way you're looking at the stage. And if you were the production manager, how many mics would you need to bring out for the band? Alright, how'd you do? Well, before I wrap up, I'll leave you with a recipe for a good stage plot. Here's a little checklist I compiled for your reference. And special thanks to DB for giving some expert advice on stage plots. Thank you for watching, and happy plotting!